Rooster Creek Quilting in Holt Summit, Missouri is your one-stop shop for all your quilting needs and more. Their specialties include great customer rapport to assist you with finding that perfect fabric, notion, pattern, pre-cuts, and embroidery supplies. Rooster Creek also offers professional long-arm quilting services and classes and much more. Don't wait for the rooster to crow. Visit Rooster Creek Quilting at Holt Summit Plaza, Holt Summit, Missouri. It's a great place to go for all your quilting needs.
Welcome to JCTV, Quilting Inside and Out, where you get the scoop on the world of quilting. Sponsored by Rooster Creek and Company of Holt Summit, Missouri. Today is December 13th in the Jefferson City, Missouri, capital of the state of Missouri. And I welcome you to Quilting Inside and Out. I'm your host, Rick Jey, with a great show today filled with two great guests who will be really surely enlightening you with their quilting aspects of the quilting world. In the first half hour of the show, you get to meet a very special guest from the world of quilting, Miss Julie Rush of Eldon, Missouri, and who will share her unique quilting experiences. And then we meet Miss Jean Basaltkey, whose quilts have raised high dollar value at auctions for some real great causes in our state of Missouri. Well, welcome me, please, in welcoming Miss Julie Rush of Belton, Missouri. It's great to have you here as a guest on Quilting Inside and Out, Miss Rush.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. Miss Rush, please tell us a little bit about you and those highlights of your life that best describe Miss Julie Rush.
Well, I'm a Missourian. I'm born in Joplin, although I went to school at Kansas University.
Yes. And
in fine arts, and I have 2 degrees, drawing and painting, and in art education.
Excellent.
And then I went out to Arizona and went to Arizona State University, and I have a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering from Arizona State.
Mechanical engineering. So now I can see again how things are put together in more of a mechanical state, I guess, in perspectives and stuff like me. I've talked to other guests here on the show. And that's perspective. So you was in Arizona, which I love, retired from Arizona in 2009. So we have that in common.
Yep. 2012.
2012.
Retired in 2012.
Excellent.
And moved back home.
And you're back home to Missouri and Eldon. I have memories of Joplin, Missouri also in my past radio broadcast year. The Sandman Forum, they called it. I filled in there a few times for a gentleman on an ABC network, if you recall, there in town. And your level of education, it sounds like you've definitely covered the bases on that. And KU, Kansas University, that's an excellent reference to have on any resume. I guess I should now talk to you, if I may call you Julie.
Sure.
Can you share with us when or how you were first inspired to become a quilter, and what inspires you to continue your interest in quilting?
Well, I have quilts from my great-grandmothers, my grandmother, my mother, that I all still have.
Yes.
But really what inspired me was when I first started working, I worked with a lot of quilters, and they invited me over to essentially a quilting bee. And so that was all hand quilting.
And was that in Jefferson City or Osage Beach?
That was in
area?
Kansas. That was in Lawrence, Kansas.
Lawrence, Kansas. Oh, yes. Good old Lawrence.
Yeah.
Excellent. I don't want to get off track here. We're talking art, but memories flash, you know.
Yeah, Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Yes, there you go. Excellent. So that is, I know I have quilts that have been made for me by grandmother's mother, and I have them stored away, and they mean a lot to me. And then after receiving a quilt of valor even last summer. So once the quilting is in your blood or part of your gene pool, what have you, we all can relate to what some of those quilts mean, and that's the inspiration that I think is the underlying reason for a lot of people like Julie to do such fine quilting. Now, you spoke of family. I know I've met your husband in the past. We should at least say hello to him.
Oh, all righty, yeah. Mike Rush is my husband,
yes.
my wonderful husband.
Yes, he's a wonderful guy, I tell you that for sure. So that's quite an inspiration just from the family basis. That's great. Well, meeting so many different types of quilters now, especially in my sharpening service, I've learned there are so many techniques and styles of quilting. So can you describe for us, explain your type of technique for your quilting?
Yes, I do raw edge applique in pictorial quilts.
Yes.
They're about as far away from traditional quilting as you can get because they're pictures. They're all
Yes.
pictures. And I was walking through a fabric store one day and I saw a book on pictorial art quilts by Lenny Levinson Weiner. And I just looked at that book and I went, that's what I want to do.
Oh, excellent.
And so I've attended several of her workshops since then and just learned something new every time. And so basically I do pictures in fabric. My little great niece says I paint with fabric.
Paint with fabric, yes. Quilt art. That's
Quilt
what
art,
I like to refer to, but I do know it's very much more defined as you've defined it from your perspective and what you work with. Now, the viewers will be able to see these pieces that as we talk. So you're going to appreciate it so much just viewing it and see exactly what they come out of these fabulous pieces that Julie puts together for our viewing, I guess, and others. But we're fortunate to be able to view them today, some of them. Well, your quilts have so many different types of subject matter. And so I can see a broad area of your interests. Can you share with the viewers those subject matter that seem to you enjoy maybe most using those subject matters in the completion of a quilt?
Well, my favorite thing to do is to develop a quilt with people in it, figurative art.
Yes.
And the next favorite subject matter, I like animals.
Oh, super.
Cats, dogs, parrots.
Right. Excellent.
People and animals are my
Excellent.
favorites.
Excellent. I kind of lean that way myself. Well, everyone has their favorite pieces of work that they call their favorites. Sometimes we surprise ourselves upon completion of such. We end up with a piece of work that just, how did we do that, or how did I do that? Well, can you identify now and share with our viewers that one quilt or those favorites that are a favorite to you and why? Maybe a little storyline behind them. I know we paint for reasons a lot of times. So,
one of my favorite quilts is of my husband. Was in a big snowstorm that we had a few years ago. I don't know, it's like 4 feet of snow, whatever. And he was out walking our dog. So I took a picture of him from the back as they were walking away from me, and I just loved the snow on the trees and on the sidewalk and the little path they were making as they walked through there and then kind of fading off into the distance because it was still snowing. And I put a little street sign on there and it said home, and that's the name of the quilt.
Excellent.
So
Yeah. I can't wait to see that piece on the program as it's presented. Excellent. Well, now, do you have any venues where you might be able to view your quilt's entries? I do want to remind everyone that Julie and our other guests will be featured by invitation as a guest on the show with the JCTV Quilting Inside and Out at the Runge Center in Jefferson City in May and June. So we'll invite you to keep that on your, post that on your calendar and come and take a look. She will be featured within that venue. And what venues do you have? I know you travel a lot and are known United States wide for your art.
Well, I'm not sure that well known, but I did have an entry into the International Quilt Festival in Houston this year. Mm-hmm. So that was a quilt called Contemplating Architecture. So that was in the Houston show. And then the month of February, my artwork will be shown in Springfield at a college there.
Illinois?
No, Springfield, Missouri. Yeah. Okay. At Evangel University. Oh, okay. So the whole month of February, if you want to see my work, it'll be on display there.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, do you have a website, phone number, email, where the viewers can really jump in and take a look? Or if they have questions maybe on a technique, or if you'd like to share some of those techniques, where they could reach you?
Yeah, I have a website. It's called ozarkfiberarts.com. And then my email is ozark.quilter.gal@gmail.com.
Yes, I have that .gal down pat now. We had a little trouble, not trouble, but trying to get it all out, perfectly,
yeah,
so the
long.
emails would go through. Well, I sure thank you for that. Do you have anything else you'd like to cover, Julie?
Well, I just would actually like to just thank my Lord, Jesus Christ, for
thank you.
The talents that I have, because that's where it all comes from.
Exactly, from the Creator. I agree 100%. And sometimes He just keeps handing them to us and surprising us with more. Well, Gloria, it's been my pleasure to have you as a guest here on Quilting Inside and Out. Thanks for making it a learning and informational experience for all. Thank you very much. Thank you. And when we come back, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we give you the scoop on what's happening in the quilt world, quilters, shows, etc. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, girl, Nicole. Good luck on the play tonight. You're welcome. What's up, guys? Now you're gonna make sure that you return those on Monday, right? Thank you. Oh, nice.
We'll talk to you for a second. Go ahead, no. Give me water. Come on, let me get your water. Just get out the way.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Rick Jey, your host here on Quilting Inside and Out. I continue with our special guest, Jean Basaltkey, who's here with us today to share the highlights of her life as a quilter. Welcome to Quilting Inside and Out, Miss Besalke.
Thank you, Rick.
Yes, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for asking.
Well, Jean, if I may call you by your first name.
Absolutely.
Can you share with us when or how you were first inspired to become a quilter, and basically what has inspired you to continue your interest in quilting?
Actually, my grandmother was a quilter, and my mother was a quilter. Both of them inspired me to be quilters. However, they never had the time to show me how to be a quilter. So I actually went to Rooster Creek Quilting in Holt Summit, Missouri, and told Teresa that I wanted to learn to make a quilt because I was retired now and I wanted something to do.
Super.
So I went into her shop and she showed me several different designs that I could do. And I had never quilted. I had sewn a long time, but had never quilted. I was looking at the different fabrics and I came across a book by Missouri Star Quilt called Block. It had a flag on it. My husband is a veteran, and my father was a veteran.
Super.
His father was a veteran, and his brother was a veteran.
Awesome.
And my brother was a veteran. So veterans are very close to me, close to my heart, and I decided I wanted to make my husband a flag. So I started out with a wall hanging, which is presented here on the table, and that's what I started with. I knew nothing about it. I went step by step in the magazine that I got, and I did it.
Super.
I posted it on Facebook, and a friend of mine who is a very big quilter said, "How did you ever do that?" She said, "That's an advanced pattern." I went back to Teresa and I said, "Did you know this was an advanced pattern?" And she said, "Yes, I did." She said, "But you did it." And I said, "Yes, I did." That's what started my quilting trip.
Super. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm sure some of our viewers are inspired in the same way. Someone usually has to trigger that interest, and then it's always nice to have that person there to back you up and instruct you if possible. Sounds like you've done a super job on learning, which we'll find more about as we get into each quilt. Now, you mentioned that the quilt on the table. This quilt is also going to be shown as we speak within the program, so you'll be able to take a look at it also. It's a beautiful piece, and I can see the advanced skills here and just the sewing alone. Now, did you do the quilting also on the piece?
No, Teresa at Rooster Creek, I took it back over after I got it completed, the top completed, and I asked her, I said, "I need to do this, but I don't know exactly how." So she said she would do it for me, do the quilting part for me, and she said, "I have a beautiful star and swirl pattern that we'll put on there."
Yes.
And it did. It really made the quilt stand out. My husband was very, very proud of it.
Oh, excellent. And husband's name is?
Rob.
Rob. Well, hi, Rob. Nice to meet you here through the program. She does such beautiful work. I know you're just inspired just looking at it. It's got to be warm to your heart, this piece, this quilt for you here, as explained earlier. Well, you know, everyone has their favorite pieces of work, what that they call their favorites, and we do surprise ourselves sometimes as I speak with each guest when we do complete a project, as you've explained. So can you identify and share with us maybe that one quilt or those favorites and why it, or they have become your favorite? I'm also a veteran. I was honored by a Quilt Valor Foundation in Columbia last June 20th. And our last show not only featured Jan Hobbs out of the Columbia Quilts of Valor Foundation, the Peace Quilters of Columbia, but then the show, as you recall, if you watched it, also we did a taping in the city of Jefferson City, Missouri, as an actual awards presentation, Quilts of Valor, of those gentlemen and ladies that received those honors. So it's great. And are you associated at all with quilting for the Quilts of Valor Foundation by chance?
No, I'm not, but I do sew and quilt for a group called Band of Brothers in Columbia, Missouri.
Ooh,
they're a motorcycle group that raise funds for different organizations. They came to me when the first time after I'd done this quilt, and they asked me if I would be interested in doing a quilt for them. I said, "I've never made a full-size quilt," and they said, "Then what can you do?" And I said, "I can do another flag." So I did another flag for them to auction off for money, but also they brought me a panel, which is a pre-printed piece of fabric
I see.
that has a saying on it. The one that they brought me said, "Land of the free and home of the brave." And they asked me if I could make a queen-size quilt. Now you have to keep in mind that the piece that they brought me was only 18 inches wide and 20 inches long. But I did it. And
Excellent.
that quilt raised $2,500 for the homeless veterans of Columbia.
Super.
And
that
then-
figure again, $2,500.
$2,500. But that's,
at an auction held?
it was actually a raffle that they
Or
did.
a raffle? I see.
And then they did another raffle this past year, and I designed another quilt for them again.
Yeah.
This time the quilt raised $2,300.
Excellent.
But when they called the lady to tell her that she'd won the quilt, she said, "Please auction it again to raise more funds." When we got done, the quilt had raised over $3,200.
Wow,
It
that
was
is,
the biggest thing I'd ever done. I was so
That
excited.
is so amazing. My. Now, those quilts, again, will be shown on the program here as you're speaking, as you're describing. And do you recall the names of those? One was the...
One was the Land of the Free, or Land of the Free, and the other one was God Bless America.
God bless America. So we will look for those within the programming. And we have pictures here, but very hard to show those on camera with the reflection and all. So we're going to get the whole scoop through the programming of editing of the show. Well, Jean, do you have any projects now in process that our viewers may take a look at in the future? I know we have a quilt show coming up at Rooster Creek, and the ones I just mentioned before turning the page to you. Do you have any that you're planning on entry thereof?
Not entry, but I'm always and constantly working on a new quilt. I have several in process at this moment, and several different designs that I design all the quilts, my quilts by myself now.
I see.
And so I have several in process, as all quilters do.
Oh, yes.
And it's always so much fun to see the end result when you get done.
So you may or may not have them on exhibition at one of the quilt shows?
Maybe I could probably do that.
Oh, I see. That would be excellent. Something for our viewers to look forward to. And remember that name, Jean Basaltkey. They have, you know, each quilt is labeled, and you basically get to vote for your favorite quilts at these quilt shows, and also there's nice door prizes and beautiful quilts. By the way, I want to compliment on the quilting of this piece that Teresa Cuno has done. Again, she's going to be on our show next month, so Teresa's done a great job on that, along with your expertise that's just jumping into the water without a life preserver and going for it, I can say. Well, let's see. So your techniques, we talk about techniques and the different types of quilting. I'd like to ask you for what is your basic technique, favorite technique, should I say, and subject matter? It looks like it could be around the military or what have you, veterans, but
Yes.
favorite subject matter and technique especially.
My favorite subject matter is veterans and anything red, white, and blue. I'm very, like I said, my heart is very into the veterans of the United States of America. And there was kind of a fun time with the God Bless America quilt, which was the last one I donated. And not only am I a veteran's wife, there was a friend of mine that donated the funds for the fabric for the quilt.
Oh, excellent.
And she is a veteran's wife.
And her name?
Her name is Nancy Gingrich.
Thank you, Nancy, for the donation. I believe Nancy was a part of my Quilt of Valor. Nancy Gingrich, yes. She's,
From Clarence.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, well,
Yes.
great.
And then Teresa and Mike donated the quilting. And of course, Mike is a veteran also.
Yes.
So it was kind of nice that it was made and quilted and sewn by veterans' wives.
Excellent. Now, we didn't cover, it's kind of an open question. Do you have children, and are you teaching those children quilting, like great-grandmother and grandmother?
No. They don't really want to learn that.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, thanks for answering the question. It was kind of a spur of the moment I pulled out of the air there, but some, I guess at this day and age especially, some are, and really, it's just whatever catches their eye, I guess.
Right.
So that's great to know. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the viewers that might inspire them into their next quilting project or to get started?
Absolutely.
Reinforce what?
Absolutely. Watch lots of YouTube videos. Don't believe you can't do it, because you can. Anything is possible if you just try. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours and done by you. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I took some classes at Rooster Creek. I actually did Red Block magazine by Missouri Star Quilt. I just go for it. Just do it. And you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish. I didn't believe I could do it, but after I finished, start with something small that you can complete. I have learned that. If you start with something big, sometimes it discourages you, and you don't really want to finish it. It just gets tiring.
So something small like this is basically 4 by 3 or so.
Exactly.
Would be a good starting point.
Exactly. Do a wall hanging or something like that, or even a pillow, or whatever you can do. Don't be afraid, though. It will go together. If you can do a 1/4 inch seam, you can do a quilt. And that's what I have done, and it worked. And I was really shocked at myself and that I could do that kind of work. But I also have a very good support system, and that is my husband. He's very supportive in everything I do.
Now, the Rooster Creek company, fabric store, has a guild. Are you part of that guild?
I am a part of that guild.
And can you tell us a little bit about, I'm with the Jefferson City Art Club because I work with the brush mainly. So I'm inspired by going to meetings. We have presenters. So tell us a little bit about what you, how you're inspired from the Quilt Guild itself.
The Quilt Guild has a lot of amazing quilters in it. And the Quilt Guild is a wonderful place to start and to join. It helps to give you inspiration. It helps to give you ideas. They're very helpful. They're very sweet ladies. When you go in and you're like, I don't really know what quilting pieces to go together, colors. They're very helpful in doing that. And so are the employees at Rooster Creek, too.
Yes. Now, at Rooster Creek, you do have once in a while presentations by specialized people like Linda Bratine, I believe, which was on our program, Mid-Missouri Art News. So you do have special guests to present different techniques, I understand.
Yes, and there's also tips on how to use some of the tools that are out there for quilters, and that makes things go a lot smoother sometimes when you're trying to quilt.
Right. So they have a comprehensive quilt guild and shop there in Holt Summit, Missouri, in the shopping center by McDonald's. So please stop by and visit, say hi, so you saw it right here on JCTV, Quilting Inside and Out. Also, I understand I know for a fact there's a great ice cream parlor in part of that facility that you don't want to miss out on as you become expired, maybe a little tired from the taking in the views, all the fabric.
Exactly.
Sometimes you need a cup of ice cream.
Exactly. Or maybe if you bring your spouse, it's a good place for them to go eat some ice cream while you're shopping.
I didn't want to say that because I would be on the next time I see your husband. So yes, that's a good atmosphere also. Yes. And also in that, they have a wall dedicated to veterans.
Yes.
different artifacts on the wall. And I have a painting there that I painted and have presented for display there called The Long Trail Home, which reminds me of the days when you're overseas in country, and it becomes a long trail home. And but you can see through this wounded Indian pony and the trail, and he's limping. He's decorated out and he is riderless. So it kind of tells you the story behind my painting. So go in, enjoy the fabric, enjoy the ice cream, and enjoy the wall dedicated to our veterans at Rooster Creek Fabric Store there in Holt Summit, Missouri. Well, Jean, do you have a website, email, phone number, or what have you, where people maybe would want to call and talk with you? You're so inspirational in your delivery here today, and people may want to reach out to you. So whatever you can release to our viewers, please do so.
I do have an email address if they'd like to contact me. It's J as in Jean, A as in Ann, Basalke @gmail.com.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so email, there you have, and that'll appear on the screen here on the moments. Well, Jean, do you have anything else that you'd like to inspire us with today, or any comments that you'd like to make?
I'd just like to say that dare to create, to be your own kind of beautiful. It's an amazing thing. Fabric is so much fun, and it's so forgiving to work with. You can always use a seam ripper. Trust me, I have.
Yes, I do upholstery, so I'm very familiar with the seam ripper. Oh, excellent.
Exactly.
Now, you did bring a book that you talk about. If you want to kind of just put that up there for view, that is Missouri Star Quilt Company block. And this is what give basically Jean her start, and somewhat definitely inspirational for her content and quilting. Well,
that's available every other month at Rooster Creek.
Okay, I see. So they even have books for you to refer to.
Exactly.
It's quite an extensive outlay of whatever you need for sharpening. I mean, for quilting. I'm thinking tomorrow, I guess. Well, Miss Jean Basaltkey, I truly want to thank you for contributing to Quilting Inside and Out, and it has been really an inspiring time to visit with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you for asking me. I greatly appreciate the offer.
Yes, ma'am. It's
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure.
You too.
Well, next show in Quilting on Arts will be next month, filmed on or taped on January 17th. So we look for you to be a viewer and join us. So I want to take this time thanking you for watching and keeping us in mind and in thought. And thanking again Glory and Lowe and staff here at JCTV Access for making this all possible. And thank you, our viewers, for joining us here on JCTV once again. Look for more Quilting Inside and Out, where you get the scoop on the world of quilting. It's all right here on JCTV Access and on YouTube. I'm Rick Jey saying thank you so much for watching and hope to see you again. See you next time.
Rooster Creek Quilting in Holt Summit, Missouri is your one-stop shop for all your quilting needs and more. Their specialties include great customer rapport to assist you with finding that perfect fabric, notion, pattern, pre-cuts, and embroidery supplies. Rooster Creek also offers professional long-arm quilting services and classes and much more. Don't wait for the rooster to crow. Visit Rooster Creek Quilting at Holt Summit Plaza, Holt Summit, Missouri. It's a great place to go for all your quilting needs.